Today on FluTac, we talk about America's rifle, the AR-15, the basics and why this is the ultimate modular weapon system in the United States. FluTac starts right now. Welcome to FluTac, Armed Citizen Fire Training Solutions. I'm your host, Instructor Flu. First, before I dive into today's episode about this magnificent weapon platform, I want to say thank you, yes, you, the subscriber. Just started this channel a few weeks ago, and for me, may not be much for most people, I have 100 subscribers, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being around and be able to help me on this journey of firearm safety and also training people properly and understanding weapon systems that are out there. So once again, I just want to say thank you. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you give this a like. Make sure you definitely subscribe. And let's dive into this platform right here, the AR-15. So before we begin, we're always going to do what I like to do in a show, which is to make sure that our weapons are clear. So, clearing our AR-15 platform. Make sure the weapon system placed so safe as you can see here as already is. Make sure it's pointing in a safe direction. Make sure to be where your backstop. And we're going to pull right here, which is the charging handle. We're going to look in there, make sure there's a clean breech. As you guys can see there, the weapon system is clear. Let's go into a review of the AR-15 semi-automatic rifle platform, also known as America's favorite rifle. So to begin, I just want to say that the AR-15 has really been the forefather of so many of the rifles we see here today. Whether you look at weapons like Australia's Steyr AUG, or you look at FN's SCAR system, the AR-15 is the granddaddy of the semi-automatic intermediate cartridge platform that is still popular today, not just with the militaries around the world and law enforcement agencies, but also with people like you, my fellow armed citizens. And there's reasons for that. One of the basic things you have to understand is that AR-15 doesn't stand for assault rifle like people may believe. It actually stands for armor light. So the AR-15 was really designed by a gentleman who was named Eugene Stoner, who has passed away, who used to work for a company called Armulite. And Armulite was a company that really was experimenting with, I believe, with lightweight aircraft-grade aluminum systems that they were using and put into firearms. For whatever reason, Armulite, I don't think, was successful for quite some time, and because of that, they were acquired by Colt, which the design for the AR-15 was acquired by Colt. So a little bit history about the AR-15. After World War II, the United States military found out that it took a relatively excessive amount of ammunition or rounds in order to be able to get rounds on target. And the military was looking for a way to be able to also combine numerous weapon platforms into one system. I'm a firm believer that, if you try to do too many things for one platform, you're going to have situations where it might do some things good and others not too well. Back in World War II, they had the primary weapon, which is the granddaddy of most firearms here in American arsenal, which is the M1 Garand. They also had the Thompson submachine gun, the M1 carbine, and also the 1911. And the military was trying to look into a system that they can develop, or a rifle system that can replace all of those. What the result was from that was the M14. Now, anybody who ever held an M1A, which is the civilian counterpart of the M14 assault rifle, you really will come to realize too, when it comes down to it, is that it doesn't really do that. And the M14 still is one of America's most shortest serving service rifles within American history. There was a couple reasons for that. It went down from a 30-06 bottleneck cartridge down to a 308, which is still a pretty good round, still used today in the United States military. But one of the biggest things that happened is that the way the rifle was designed, it had a very, very difficult time being controlled by the average infantryman or soldier when it came down to it in fully automatic mode, which obviously caused an issue or problem. Going forward, what they decided to do was start looking for a place for the M14, and the Armor Light's AR-15 style platform, which I believe was the AR-10 originally with a 308, came to be developed, and it was released, I believe, with Special Forces or Special Operations back in Vietnam originally, who tested it out and they liked it. Compared to the M14, this was definitely a lightweight rifle, and it was very, very controllable too as well because of a couple of reasons. One, it went down from full size cartridge like the 308, and it went down actually to the 5.56 by 45mm, which is this particular rifle shoots itself. And with that being said, it was able to give the soldier increased controllability with fully automatic fire, and also gave the soldier the opportunity to carry more ammunition with the military like. And it goes back to what I talked about before during World War II. We found out it took a lot more ammunition to, a lot of rounds to be able to actually get a confirmed hit or kill if you need to on an enemy subject in the combat zone. And the 5.56 gave you the opportunity to have a lot more ammunition and a lot more capability to be able to go ahead and take down a target if you need to. A couple of things that really made this weapon system unique and why it was controllable is because, generally speaking, the recoil impulse from the rifle went straight back almost into the shooter's arms. As you can see here, the barrel, the upper receiver, and the stock are almost a straight line. So instead of it, like the M14 had, being on a pivot in here, I don't have an M14 with me, but it was able to give a lot more controllability of the soldier. And even though initial reports from the Special Forces, I believe, who was using Vietnam were relatively good, it didn't take very long when it was issued and replaced M14 in the field that there was a lot of issues with the rifle itself. And unfortunately, I believe, cost some soldiers their life. And one of the issues is that, Vietnam was a very it was a tropical or jungle climate, and against Eugene Stoners, who was the original designer of this, from my understanding, actually went and said that the barrels of these rifles need to be chrome lined. And what chrome lining a barrel does, it has the opportunity to provide a lot more corrosion or rust resistance in this. And originally the military did not chrome line the barrels, and this caused stoppages and jammings for some soldiers within combat. Another thing that was very interesting to me, and I'm very familiar with the system, my time in the service as an infantryman, and this was the first weapons system, an A2 setup I used to qualify on. One of the things that was really crazy to me is that I think the military sold the idea that this weapon was self-cleaning and that cleaning kits were an issue with it. And anybody that knows about the AR-15 platform knows that that is very, very not true. And very, very most importantly too, this weapon is reliable, it's accurate, dependable, but it does need maintenance. And after you fire one magazine for 20-30 rounds, you'll get a lot of carbon buildup on it. Now let's talk about why for you and for most civilians this is the go-to rifle. So why is the AR-15 the go-to rifle for so many people out there in civilians? The reason is because, simply put, is its price point for most AR-15s, and also its modularity. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'll show you. Abracadabra. So just like that, I was able to turn my 20-inch Olympic Arms non-chrome line barrel into a 16-inch barrel that's actually produced by PSA or Palmetto State Armory, which actually has chrome lining in it. I'm sorry, actually, I believe it's nitrate. The reason I bring this up is that one of the best things about the AR-15 platform is its modularity. And you're able to make so many different modifications to it to suit your mission you may have as an armed citizen, or your particular shooting you may be doing. I mean, there's so many configurations where you can set that to be a frontline battle rifle. You can also go ahead and set this up too as well to be a designated marksman rifle, or just for a lot of people, just a regular plinking rifle. And that's one of the greatest things about the AR-15 platform, is just this ability to be so adaptable in so many different ways. And another thing too as well is just for those who may find themselves as preppers or whatever you may think you may need from this type of situations, that 5.56 ammo, even though it's gotten a lot more expensive than what it used to be, it still is relatively available in the United States and a lot more easier to go ahead and be able to have. I mean, and with this being such a modular system too, and being used by the United States military, another thing that was really good about it, you have a lot of surplus magazines and things like that. Now, the original magazines for the AR-15 or M16 rifles were designed, I believe, to only last 6 months. But I can tell you, I've had magazines that I've gotten that were used, obviously, from the military, that are probably decades old and still function almost flawlessly today. So this is one of the reasons why AR-15 is such a great weapon. And you can still pick yourself a good quality AR-15 that'll probably outlast you for easily under $600 or $700 in some instances. It'll do just a good job, be able to do for home defense, target shooting, or just plinking, whatever you want to do when it comes down to it. And this is why this weapon system is really just so popular, and there's so many different manufacturers. I could probably spend all day trying to talk about them and doing research about them. But I will say, if you are new to the AR-15 market, here's the biggest thing. One, a lot of people say this is a weapon of war. As a person who used this weapon overseas, luckily I never had to fire in anger, but who used it, who's very familiar with the AR-15 platform, just like anything else, you have to understand is that what your intentions come down to it is what inside your soul and what you decide as a person really makes what type of weapon this can be, what it can do with it. And I think for the average person out there, you want to be able to protect your life, protect your family, and I think a lot of people trust law enforcement to do that, and officers do a great job. But unfortunately, there are times and circumstances where there are craziness situations out there. And a lot of people think about humans, but there's also situations out there where you may have to be able to defend yourself against animals. It's crazy. I was reading recently that somebody was being attacked by an otter of all things. So the AR-15, could you use otter or use it against otter? 100%. But it's just a great platform. So let's go ahead and switch out the barrel real quick, just like this. All right, and just like that, I got my full-length 20-inch barrel to go out there and be able to get it back. I personally like the 20-inch barrel. I was trained on the M16A2 style assault rifle. Once again, this is only semi-automatic, but I like the longer sight radius. I also like a little bit extra muzzle velocity, roughly about 150 to 200 feet per second, compared to a 16-inch barrel. And honestly, I'm just a sucker for the way that the M16A2 style looks. And absolutely love this weapon platform. Really fun to shoot. And something that's also cool is you can get a surplus bayonet lug, and which is perfect because right now, guys, it's time to get your eyes, it's time to get your ears, as we are going to take on the biggest threat to American democracy, fruits and vegetables. So now it's time to go loud. Now that was exciting. Guys, thank you so much for joining me with another episode of FluTac. Once again, the AR-15, beautiful weapon system, beautiful rifle, and I'm so glad that we are able to have something like this in a beautiful country. And I just want to say that I know that for a lot of people in this country, we are going through hard times, identifying who we are as a country, and also going through financial issues and stuff like that. And recently I heard a song like many of you have to Richmond, north of Richmond. And I just want you to say that believe in our country, believe in still being good to one another, and also believe of just being a good human being. Understanding that you as a firearm owner, there's nothing wrong with that at all, and that use this sport as something you can be fun, meet people and have a good time with. And once again, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for the 100 subscribers and many more to come, hopefully, as we go on this journey of firearm safety. So, but in the meantime, just do me a favor. Make sure you shoot safe, shoot straight, and do not be a victim.